Now, let's see, I got a couple of notes here that I'm going to go over. There's a link that I'm going to post along with this video where you can see exactly what drill bits I've got and what my opinion of the condition is. That sheet will include the flute length, and some of these drill bits may have started out life as a stub length, but some of them might just be 40 years old and have been sharpened so many times that they are that short. But the flute length is an obvious thing. The other thing that I'm posting along with the size of each drill bit is their quality on my scale from 1 to 5. 5 being excellent and 1 being dismal. Number 5 does not mean that it's brand new, but it means that it is like new. And so I'll give you an example. We've got several drill bits here that are close to new, and if you pick them up, that's not a good one. Here's a 1 7/8. The shank is flawless. There's no damage. It was never spun in the quill. The tang is, not apparently not been twisted. It's got not a description of the flute length, but it's got plenty of life left in it. And most importantly, and none of these are sharpened. Some of them are sharp, but most importantly, that there's no damage on the margin. In other words, if you pick up, if you get a drill bit that I've set as a number 5, it's going to perform exactly as if it was a brand new drill bit. And some of these look like new. None of them are new. But if you pick up the old number 5, that I said it was a number 5, it'll be just like taking a brand new drill bit out of the box. And then down the scale to a number 1, and some of these have been ridden hard and put away wet, and you can tell that the tang has been welded back together, and that there's chips out of it, and it's been spun in the quill. And however, even a number 1, if you snap it in to the quill, it's gonna cut. There's only one of these that I described as a 0, and I'll show you that when I get back to the video here. But basically all of these, and that's why they were still in the shelf. If you grabbed them, you could snap them in and cut a hole with it. Still within that spectrum, there's some drill bits here that are amazing, and some that are like, after I finish drilling this hole, and then I'm gonna go back in there and bore it. So that's my scale, and you'll see that on the Google sheet. So all you do is click on that link, and you'll be able to see what sizes there are, how long they are, and what the condition is, and whether or not they've been repaired. Now, looking at these drill bits, I only found one that had the word China. Most of these are good old American brands. All right, Morse, or they just say that's Chicago Latrobe CL, or they just say USA, Cleve Forge, National. Like, most of these are legacy brand American drill bits. There's a couple in there that look like they might be Chinese, though. It is very few. I only saw the word China on one of these. Most of these are name brand. Good old drill bits. 3 or 4 of these, let me find one. 3 or 4 of these have been spun in the quill. Not the majority, but you see some that have. 3 or 4 of them have this unusual keyway in the shank, and then 3 or 4 have been either modified or fixed. Now here's a 2 1/4 that's had a 4 to 5 adapter sleeve welded right on there. I've seen welds on 2 or 3 of these. One of them you'll see has got a cylindrical, this is a 2 7/8 drill bit, it's massive. It's got a cylindrical shank welded on of 2 3/8 diameter. That's unusual. But there's a couple that have been modified up to Morse taper number 5. Not that many, but maybe 4 or 5 of these. You can see the tang has been welded. Has been welded and then ground back in. And there's probably a handful of carbon drill bits in here. There was only one that I spotted that I said to myself, oh yeah, that's a carbon drill bit. Again, most of these are good old-fashioned, American brand high-speed steel hardcore drill bits. Now I see a lot of rust here. When I got these drill bits, they were absolutely, grizzly, covered in grime, and I've just spent a couple of hours the other day with a detergent and a 5-gallon bucket of heavy detergent. And I scrubbed these with a brush and then wiped them off and put them back up here, which made a big improvement. But then there's still a lot of rust, and so I'm not going to dedicate my life to cleaning these drill bits up, but they are. It's only a light, flash rust kind of thing. I took one of them as a demonstration. This here 2 3/8 National, which you can see a pretty decent level of rust on here all the way up, and I took half of it on a wire wheel. No polishing going on here, just plain old wire wheel, and that guy cleans right up. Alright, and you can see the difference there, and you can see I did one spot near the tang here. You can kind of see the delineation line there of where I put it on the wire wheel and where I didn't. So that went from being like, oh, that's kind of dreadful, to you realize, that's almost as good as new. And again, that drill bit, after five minutes of TLC, that's got a good 6 or 7 inches of flute length, and right up to the cutting lips, there's no damage on the margins. I mean, that's a perfectly good drill bit. So that's most of these, and there's about 8 of these that are basically brand new. So these 8 that are in this area, they're kind of between 1.5 inches and 2 inches. These things were bought very recently. Here, I don't know what brand this is, but it says USA on it. 1 11/16. I mean, that thing does look like it just came out of the box. It's flawless. It's perfect. No twist on the tang. No scratches or scrapes on the shank. No damage to the margin. I wouldn't say that it's never been used, but there's, that's essentially a new drill bit. Now, all of those new drill bits, there's at least 8 of them. Those things, man, I priced them out. There's one that I think is made in China. just because of the way the stamping is on it. It's not that amazing. It's high-speed steel, but you know, it doesn't have very good lettering on it like this one in 15/16. It's like, oh yeah, that thing's legit. Like, this is not quite as amazing. I looked on Travers. Even an imported drill bit like that's going to be $230. I priced out this drill bit here on MSC, national brand, 1 in 15/16. So that's a $500 drill bit. And again, that's just flawless. There's not a single thing wrong with that. These 8 drill bits in particular, all right, sitting in here. Forever, whoever buys, if someone will buy the whole lot, those drill bits right there would be worth the price of the whole lot. So that's a factor to me. Finally, there's one drill bit in here that I marked as a 0, and you know, my opinion is there's a great deal of usability in life left in this whole thing. Some of these are really short, especially these bigger sizes. I don't know if that was a stub length drill. Some of these are just kind of an oddball. Here's, you know, the tang's been welded up, the shank's been spun in the quill. It's got a very, you know, it's been burned. The margin is damaged. I mean, that's like a 1. But just only one drill bit I put down as a 0. Man, this thing looks like it's been through a nuclear explosion or something. It's got damage to the cutting lips, damage to the margins, damage to the flute, damage to the land. It's been spun in the part. It's had heavy chips spun around it on a high temperature. It's been spun in the quill. I mean, it's been banged on with a hammer. The person that used that drill bit ought to be thrown in jail. I mean, who can even describe what happened to that? Like the drill bit's been driven over by a bunch of trains or something. Anyway, that's the tour of the actual drill bits. My goal to sell these initially is for, you know, someone to come down here, local pickup, drive, you know, see how far you live from Nashville and drive down here with your pickup truck. It's 771 pounds of drill bits. None of them are sharpened, again. The current price to take the whole lot is $1,500. And on my scale of 1 to 5, although there is a 0, a couple of these new drill bits would be a 6. But mostly they're somewhere between 1 and 5. The average, you know, quality and usability is a 4. So yeah, there's a number of you know, there's a handful of 2s and 3s. There's a bunch of 4s, but there's so many 5s in here that the average quality and usability for the whole lot is a 4.